The engine goes quiet, but the road is still humming somewhere beyond the windshield. Red brake lights stretch in a thin line ahead, and your phone rests on your lap, warm from the day, its screen dim but not dark. A few minutes ago it kept lighting up with small notifications from work, short messages that felt heavier than their size, arriving one after another while the sound of distant traffic folded into the air. Now the car barely moves, the steering wheel steady beneath your hands, and the faint smell of asphalt drifts in through a window cracked just enough to let the evening in. There is a moment when you look at the phone again, not to answer anything, just to see the time glowing softly, and it feels unfamiliar to notice how much quieter everything becomes when the engine stops trying to prove its strength. The light turns green somewhere far ahead, but for now, you are simply waiting. The car inches forward, then stops again, and the phone lights up once more against your palm as if it, too, is impatient to reach somewhere. A short message from a colleague slides across the screen, followed by a small vibration that is almost polite, and for a second you consider replying before the light changes again. Outside, motorbikes weave through narrow spaces, their engines rising and falling, while the sky slowly loses its color behind a row of buildings you pass every evening without really seeing. The day is technically over, yet it clings to you in small unfinished pieces, like conversations that trail off but never fully close. At the next intersection, you wait longer than expected. A delivery truck blocks half the lane, and someone taps their horn without much conviction. Your phone warms in your hand, a steady presence that has carried so many words today, and you scroll through the last few messages just to make sure nothing urgent is hiding between them. The air feels slightly cooler now, slipping in through the cracked window, carrying the faint scent of something frying in a roadside stall nearby. You notice how your shoulders settle a little when the notifications pause, when there is nothing new to read for a few breaths. The light turns green again. You move with the slow river of cars, passing familiar storefronts with their shutters half closed. Somewhere along this stretch of road, there used to be a small bookstore that you once stepped into after work, long before life felt so tightly scheduled. You think of that version of yourself for a moment, not in comparison, just in memory, like noticing an old photograph in a drawer you haven't opened in years. The traffic thickens once more, and you ease your foot off the accelerator, letting the car glide forward and stop. Another vibration. This time it is only a reminder about tomorrow's meeting, a line of text that does not ask anything from you right now. You rest the phone against the steering wheel and look ahead at the red lights reflected on the wet patch of road near the curb. The sound of distant traffic blends with a quieter sound inside the car, your own breathing, steady and almost unnoticed. For a brief moment, the sense of being less capable than you used to be flickers across your mind, not as a dramatic thought, just as a soft doubt that passes through like a cloud moving behind glass. You remember how easily you once handled long days, how quickly you replied, how confidently you moved from one task to the next. The memory feels close but not sharp, like a room seen through a doorway at night. Now, things take a little more time. You double-check messages. You reread sentences before sending them. You sometimes let a notification sit a few minutes longer than you would have before. The traffic shifts again, engines revving in a small chorus, and you follow the flow without rushing to lead it. The road finally opens near the bridge, and cars begin to spread out. The sky is nearly dark, and streetlights cast pale circles on the asphalt, each one appearing and disappearing as you pass beneath. Your phone rests quietly on the passenger seat now, screen dim, no new sounds. There is something gentle about this stretch of road, the way it does not demand anything except that you keep your hands steady and your eyes forward. At the next red light, you lift the phone, glance at it once more, and then place it down softly on the seat beside you. By the time you reach your building, the traffic has thinned, and the familiar gate slides open with its usual slow reluctance. The engine goes quiet again, this time without the tension of waiting, and you sit for a second longer than necessary before stepping out. The phone is still in your hand, its surface slightly warm, and for a moment you consider checking it once more, just to make sure nothing followed you home. The air in the parking area is cooler than the road outside, carrying a faint echo of distant traffic that feels far enough away to be harmless. Inside the elevator, the light is steady and pale, reflecting your face back from the metal door in a softened outline. You catch your own eyes briefly, not searching for anything in particular, just noticing how the day has settled there. The phone vibrates once, a small reminder of an email you forgot to answer, and the enclosed space makes the sound seem louder than it is. You look at the notification, then let it fade without opening it, watching the numbers of the floors change slowly above the door. There was a time when you would have replied immediately, even in this narrow space between floors. You remember typing quickly, balancing your bag on one shoulder, moving through tasks as if momentum alone could carry you. Now your thumb hovers above the screen a second longer, as if weighing something invisible. The elevator hums gently, rising with its steady mechanical patience, and you feel how much quieter your movements have become in small, almost unnoticeable ways. When the door opens, the hallway smells faintly of someone's dinner, warm and slightly sweet. You step out, your shoes making a soft sound against the polished floor, and for a moment the phone is only an object in your palm, not a demand. The day's conversations feel further away here, as if they belong to a different building entirely. You walk toward your door, keys ready in your other hand, and notice how the corridor light casts a thin shadow beside you. Inside, the first thing you do is set your bag down near the wall. The room greets you with its ordinary quiet, the refrigerator humming in the background, a chair slightly pulled out from the table where it was left this morning. Your phone lights up again, but this time the glow seems softer against the dimness of home. You scroll slowly through the last few notifications, not with urgency, but with a kind of careful distance, as if each message is something you can hold and then put back. Sometimes the thought appears quietly, maybe you are not as sharp as you used to be. It doesn't arrive as a complaint, only as a comparison that slips in while you are standing in your own living room. You look at the small details around you, the shoes lined up near the door, the slight crease in the curtain, the faint hum of distant traffic through the window, and the thought loses some of its weight. The day has been full, even if it felt slower than before. You walk toward the kitchen, place the phone on the counter for a moment, then pick it up again as if out of habit. The screen shows nothing new now, only the time and the quiet background you chose months ago and never changed. The house feels steady around you, unhurried, not measuring your pace against anything. You take one more look at the blank notification bar and set the phone down softly on the kitchen counter. The kitchen light feels different from the one in the hallway, softer, almost patient as it spreads across the counter. You lean against the edge for a moment, listening to the low hum of the refrigerator and the faint rush of water pipes somewhere behind the walls. The phone rests near the sink now, its dark screen reflecting the overhead light in a thin line, no longer demanding to be touched. Outside the window, the sound of distant traffic has thinned into something barely there, a reminder that the day continues elsewhere. You turn on the tap to rinse a glass, and the running water fills the quiet in an even, steady stream. It is not loud, but it is enough to soften the edges of your thoughts. The cool splash against the glass feels ordinary and grounding, and you watch the water swirl down the drain without rushing to turn it off. For a few seconds, there is nothing to answer, nothing to improve, nothing to measure. Sometimes the sense of being less capable does not come from a single moment. It gathers slowly, like dishes placed one by one into the sink. You remember finishing tasks quickly years ago, replying without hesitation, holding several responsibilities at once without feeling the weight of them. Now, you pause more often. You reread what you have written. You leave a message unanswered until tomorrow. The water keeps running, smooth and continuous, as if it has no opinion about how fast you move. You dry the glass with a towel and set it aside, noticing how your movements are careful rather than quick. There is a small comfort in that carefulness, even if it once felt like delay. The phone lights up briefly with a notification banner, a small rectangle of light that disappears on its own when you do not reach for it. The running water continues for another few breaths, blending with the quiet hum of the air and the muted city beyond the walls. You move from the sink to the small table near the window. A chair is slightly angled, as if someone left it mid-conversation, and you straighten it without thinking. The house does not rush you. The counter remains where it is. The tap continues to run in the background, a steady thread of sound that does not rise or fall depending on your efficiency. In this slower rhythm, the thought that you are not who you used to be feels less like a loss and more like a change in pace. You pick up the phone again, scroll through a few messages from earlier in the day, and notice how many of them were answered adequately, even if not perfectly. The words may have taken longer, but they arrived. The tasks were completed, even if you moved through them without the sharp certainty you once carried. The water is still running behind you, a constant reminder that time does not demand sharpness, it simply flows. After a moment, you walk back to the sink and finally turn the tap off. The sudden quiet feels fuller than before, almost like a held breath released into the room. You glance once more at the phone's dark screen, then set it down softly beside the folded towel. Later, you carry the phone with you to the small table near the window, where the city looks quieter than it really is. The glass reflects the kitchen light faintly, and beyond it, cars move like slow lines of light between buildings. You sit down without turning on any other lamp, letting the room remain just dim enough to soften the edges of everything. The phone rests beside your hand, close but not urgent, its screen dark and smooth. There is a time of evening when the day loosens its grip. It does not announce itself. It simply arrives between one breath and the next, when there are no more emails to answer and no immediate reason to prove anything. You scroll through a few earlier messages, noticing how many of them were small, ordinary exchanges about schedules and tasks. None of them demanded perfection. Most of them were simply part of keeping things moving. Outside, a motorbike passes, the sound rising and fading quickly. The window carries in a thin current of night air, cool against your arm, and you realize how long it has been since you sat without trying to use the time efficiently. The thought about being less capable drifts back, but it feels less sharp here. It does not accuse. It simply sits beside you, like a quiet observation. You remember earlier years when evenings were still filled with energy, when you could move from work to plans to conversations without needing to pause. You handled responsibilities with a kind of confident speed, rarely questioning whether you had enough in you. Now, after a full day, there is a different rhythm. You choose fewer words. You leave some messages until morning. You let the phone remain face up without constantly checking if it has something new to say. The room holds steady around you. The refrigerator hum is softer from this distance, and the faint echo of running water from a neighbor's apartment moves through the pipes in the wall. You notice your breathing again, even and unhurried, and how your shoulders are no longer lifted toward your ears. The phone lights up once with a small notification, a gentle glow in the dimness, but you do not reach for it immediately. Instead, you look at the reflection of the screen in the window. It is only a square of light against the dark glass, nothing more. The message can wait. The city continues to move outside, traffic flowing somewhere beyond your sight, and the evening does not rush you to join it. In this quiet, the idea that you should be more capable loses some of its urgency. You pick up the phone at last, read the message slowly, and type a brief reply. The words are simple. They do not try to impress. When you press send, there is no rush of accomplishment, only a small sense of completion. You place the phone back on the table and let your hand rest beside it for a moment, feeling the cool surface beneath your fingers. The night deepens outside the window. The sounds of traffic grow thinner, almost dissolving into the distance. You sit there a little longer, without adding anything to the day, and then set the phone down softly on the table. The evening continues without asking for anything new. You leave the kitchen and step into the living room, where the lights are lower and the air feels a little cooler against your skin. The phone comes with you out of habit, resting in your palm as if it belongs there. Its screen stays dark for now, a quiet rectangle that holds the entire outside world without speaking. You sink into the edge of the sofa, not fully sitting back yet. The cushion gives slightly under your weight, and the fabric feels familiar against your hand. Somewhere beyond the window, a car passes, its sound stretching thin across the night before fading. You glance at the phone again, scrolling without searching for anything specific, just moving through fragments of the day as if flipping through pages you already know by heart. There was a time when evenings like this were filled with plans. Calls made quickly. Messages sent without hesitation. You remember finishing one task and moving immediately to the next, your energy stretching further than you thought possible. Now, after a full day, the space between actions feels wider. You let a few notifications sit unopened. You choose not to respond right away. The screen lights up briefly with another small vibration, a soft reminder that something has arrived. You read it slowly. It is only a short follow-up from earlier, nothing urgent. The words look ordinary under the dim room light, and you notice how your reply does not need to be perfect to be enough. The thought that you should move faster, do more, answer better flickers at the edge of your awareness. But the room does not echo that thought. The chair near the wall remains still. The air carries a faint trace of the water you ran earlier, now long turned off. The quiet is not empty, it is simply present. You lean back a little further into the sofa, allowing your shoulders to settle against the cushion, and let the phone rest lightly on your thigh. Sometimes being less capable does not mean failing. It feels more like choosing not to strain in every direction at once. You think about the way you handled things years ago, how quickly you spoke, how confidently you carried yourself into meetings and conversations. That version of you still exists somewhere inside, but tonight it does not need to lead. Outside, traffic grows thinner. The city begins to fold into itself, lights turning off one by one in nearby windows. You scroll through a few old photos without planning to, images from earlier stages of your life, faces and rooms that look both close and distant. There is no sharp ache in seeing them, only a quiet acknowledgement that time has moved gently forward. The phone feels lighter now, less like a test and more like an object. You place it on the coffee table, watching the screen fade to black. The room holds its soft dimness around you, and the only sound left is the distant whisper of a late car passing far below. After a moment, you reach forward and set the phone down softly on the table. The bedroom is darker than the rest of the apartment, lit only by a small lamp near the bed. Its yellow light rests gently on the wall, leaving the corners in a soft shadow that feels protective rather than empty. You bring the phone with you without thinking, placing it on the bedside table as you sit down. For a moment, you do not turn it face down or silence it, you simply let it exist there, a quiet object at the edge of the night. The sheets are cool when you slide your hand across them. The air carries a faint trace of detergent from freshly washed fabric, something clean and familiar. You sit on the edge of the bed and notice how different this hour feels from the rush of the late afternoon traffic, from the hum of the kitchen and the running water. The city outside has lowered its voice, distant traffic now only a thin thread of sound that barely reaches the window. Your phone lights up once more. A small notification appears and disappears, its glow briefly touching the ceiling before fading. You look at it without urgency. The message can wait until morning. The idea that you should have handled the day better, faster, more confidently hovers for a second, but it no longer feels sharp enough to disturb the room. There were nights years ago when you would stay up longer, answering late emails, refining details, proving something to someone who may not even have asked. You moved through responsibilities with a kind of forward momentum that felt almost effortless. Now, your body signals its own limits more clearly. Your eyes grow tired sooner. Your thoughts move more slowly. It is not dramatic. It is simply noticeable. You lie back against the pillows, the lamp casting a soft circle of light above you. The phone rests beside your hand, silent for now, its screen dark and reflective. You think about the version of yourself who seemed to manage everything without pause, and you notice how gently that memory sits tonight. It does not accuse. It does not demand a return. The room holds you in its steady quiet. The faint sound of distant traffic blends with the subtle shift of fabric as you adjust the blanket over your legs. There is nothing left to answer in this moment. The day has already unfolded in the only way it could, with its slow traffic, its unfinished messages, its careful replies. You reach for the phone one last time, not to check anything new, only to glance at the time glowing softly on the screen. It is later than you expected. You feel the small weight of it in your hand, how ordinary it is, how much of your day it has carried without complaint. The light from the lamp touches its edge, turning the glass into a thin strip of reflection. Outside, a final car passes somewhere below, the sound fading almost immediately. You place the phone back on the bedside table and sit quietly for a breath longer. Then you reach out and set it down softly in the dim yellow light. The lamp stays on for a few seconds longer than necessary. Its dim yellow light rests quietly on the wall, outlining the edge of the bedside table and the phone lying there without movement. The room feels smaller at night, not confined, just closer, as if everything has drawn in slightly to rest. You turn your head toward the window. The distant traffic is barely audible now, only a thin reminder that the world continues somewhere beyond the glass. Your breathing slows on its own, matching the steady stillness of the room. There is nothing left to adjust. The thought about being less capable does not return tonight. It lingers somewhere far back, softened by the ordinary details of the day, red lights in traffic, running water in the sink, the quiet hum of home. The phone remains untouched beside you, its dark screen reflecting a faint shape of the lamp. You reach out and turn off the light. The room settles into darkness without resistance. For a moment, you remain awake in that thin silence, aware of the steady rhythm of your own breathing and the simple fact that the day has ended as it is.